I'm Diane Simmons from Cake Connection in Jackson, Michigan. And today we are going to work with a variety of fondant and gum paste tools. Hopefully I can help you if you're having struggles or if you haven't used yours yet because you're afraid of them or something. We'll answer questions and make it a little bit easier process for you. Okay? So we're not gonna jump right in until I show you today's prize giveaway. We have an assortment of tappets. These are from FMM, a company out of England, and they've designed these. And I'm going to show you how to use those today. Okay? But we have, like I said, a little assortment there going on. So be sure, let us know that you're here. Just give us a quick shout out, say hi, share the video. We appreciate any and all shares. But again, just let us know you're here so we can get you entered to win. All right, first thing we're going to do, I'm going to hop over here. I know some of you might have watched, I used this in one of the other videos, but I'm going to go over it a little more in depth. Actually, Eric, can you zoom in enough for this, or should you walk over? We're going to have Eric walk right over here for just a minute, okay? So, sorry about the light fixtures and everything. You got to walk past there. Okay, so this is just one of the KitchenAid attachments, all right? This is the pasta machine. To put these in, you just loosen up your screw here, and then push that in, and then tighten your screw back up, okay? There are also, if you don't have a KitchenAid, there are also just little portable machines, okay? Countertop type pasta rollers. I've actually got one. So here you can see, so if you just buy a pasta machine from Joanne, Michaels, these are great coupon finds. Okay, you can get them probably for around $10, I think. All right. So this would be just your basic pasta machine. It comes with a little hand crank. I don't even know where my hand crank is anymore. Okay. Honestly, this is what I started out with 20-some years ago. We just won't mention how long ago. All right. But then you can buy motor attachments, okay? So we've got that option. And then I jumped up to the KitchenAid attachment and never looked back. I do pull these out for class every now and then, but for the most part I don't really use the handheld anymore. But it's all the same principle, okay? Just kind of an FYI, why you would even want a pasta machine, okay? They are, it is just night and day, the difference and what you get, because everything is consistent thickness once you roll it out with these, okay? I know, yes, you can use a rolling pin, you can put the little things, the little silicone rings on the end of them to get them the thickness, but these are just, I can't even explain to you how nice these are. It's well worth the money, even to go get a hand crank one. And if you've got little kids, you can have them stand there and crank the pasta roller for mommy. It works well. Or daddy. Okay, but especially if you get into doing any sort of gum paste flours or even fondant flours, the thicker they are, the chunkier they look. So if you've got the roller, you can get it so much thinner than you can hand roll them, okay? So, putting down a little powdered sugar, and then this is just some Renshaw fondant I'm working with. I have not added any Tylose or CMC powder. Oh, I don't even have any sitting there, sorry. I thought I had some sitting there. I haven't added anything to it. It's just some straight fondant, okay? If you have a fondant that tends to be a little bit soft, or if your room is really hot, or if it's very humid out and your fondant is sticky, I would either, at the very least, I would say add some powdered sugar to it, okay, just to thicken it up a little bit. But you can also put some, as I mentioned, the Tylos or CMC. It's Mary Cat CMC powder, okay? And that is basically a man-made thickening agent. It will thicken and tighten your fondant up, okay? So it's not so stretchy and won't distort on you. The other thing too that the CMC powder will do is it'll help fight humidity, okay? So fondant itself typically has glycerin in it, and it is very humid sensitive. So if it's raining outside, or if you live just in general in a very humid climate, I really recommend put some CMC in there just to help bind it up a little bit. Otherwise, especially if you're making like a fondant bow, for example, like a loopy bow, which we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. But if you're doing something like that, if it starts pouring rain for 2 or 3 days straight, that bow will literally collapse down on the table and just flatten out. Okay? If you're working with, put some CMC powder in here, or even just outright work with some gum paste, then you're much less likely to have that problem. Okay? So, our pasta roller. You always want to start, and you just sat here and watched me. I rolled this out, so I got it down to a workable thickness. Anyways, you don't want to just take a clump and just try shoving it in here, okay? I'm not going to show you because it will gum up my wheels and everything so bad. So you want to roll it out, and you always want to start at the thickest setting, okay? And what I mean by that, when you look at your wheels, they're the furthest apart. Okay, so always start there, and then gradually just go down one number each pass through, okay? So we're starting it, this one starts at number 1 for the thickest. Most of them start at number 1. Some do start at like 10 or 7 for the thick and then go backwards. But this one starts at 1, okay? So, you'll get a little noisy when I turn this on. Alright, so we fed that through, and I'm going to go down 1 click. Alright, we're going down another click. So that was number 3, and I'm going to take this down to number 4. Okay, you see how much bigger that got? So there we have our fondant all rolled out to a nice thickness, okay, or thinness, I guess we could say. So we have Eric hop back over here, and now we are probably just going to zoom down in for most of the rest, so you can see what we're working on. Do this about how we did the day. Zoom in that close. Alright, so we have a variety of different things that I'm going to work with today. Pull my chair over here so I'm not stooping over the whole time. First one I'm going to show you, well, I've got a nice long strip rolled out here. This is FMM strip cutter, okay, and this is adjustable. If you notice all these little different spacers that you've got, okay, you can set these, and depending on how you put the wheels on, so I could make like that, a very thick roll. I can take some spacers off and then put them back on the outside. So then we've got a thinner roll, okay, and then this has a screw in the end of it, and you just screw that back on. Alright, and then I normally just go test it real quick on my table, make sure it's rolling nice. then you can start right back again right beside it. Okay. And just pull your little scraps out. But there you got your strips all rolled out. Okay. So if you want to, as I was just talking about a little earlier, if you want to make a bow, all right. And I forgot. Okay, I'm just going to show you on here for right now. Another thing that comes in super, super handy, and I apologize. I thought about this earlier as I was getting everything, setting it out for this morning. I don't have mine here at the store. It is at my house in storage. But a pasta drying rack. Okay, they're for homemade pasta, and they have just little like arms out on them. Okay, you can use those. You can put any of your like plastic dowel rods over them if you want a bigger one. You know, if you want a bigger loop on there. Alternatively, you can go get some wooden dowel rods in different sizes. Okay, and then just basically you need to make yourself some sort of like rack to put the rods across. Okay, so essentially you just need something up in the air a little bit. But then you want to cut your strips. Okay, and we're just going to cut these so they're all the same length. But then if we had, you know, again, like I said, you just need something to hold whatever. If you're using a wooden dowel rod, a plastic rod, whatever, you just need something to hold it up in the air. And then this is one of our water brushes. And you just want to put a little bit of water right there on the end. Okay. Loop this over. And then just a sec here. Okay, and then you want to pinch that together just a little bit. All right. So there is. I'm moving that around enough so you can see that. And then once that dries, you just leave that hanging. Okay? So you would go through, make all your loops. You know, again, just using a little bit of water on the end. Pinch everything together. Let them all dry. And then once they dry, we're pretending right now, you'll have all your bow loops. Okay? And then you can put them together. I personally will normally try and color some chocolate the same color. They go together so nice with melted chocolate. Just pour a little dab down on some parchment paper. Okay? Put some chocolate down. Go through, put all your base loops in. Let that set up for a few minutes. Put a little more chocolate in. And start adding more loops, okay? And just keep going until it's as full as you want. All right? Any questions on the bows? Okay, so that is our strip cutter, which I have another use for. I'm going to show you here in just a second. Now, one thing I do also, and this suggestion is courtesy of Mr. Nicholas Lodge. Love him dearly. He is the guru of gum paste and whatnot. I took a week-long class from him when I first started years ago. Highly recommend, if you ever have the opportunity, take a class with Nick. He is amazing. Okay? But anyway, when you're working with your gum paste, you're finding anything, these little disposable plastic cups, just put your stuff in when you work with it. You don't want to leave stuff sitting out at air temperature too long, okay? So just set it down and then cover it up with your cup. And that will keep it, there we go, from drying out on you. All right, so next thing I'm going to show you, these are strip cutters, okay, but they're borders. So you can see there's, I believe, 5 different sets, is that right, Eric, of the frill cutters? Okay, yeah, we're both thinking 5, and there's four different strips. I just grabbed 3 of them out because I have all mine loose. I don't know which ones go with which sets, to be honest with you. I just grabbed 3 of them to show you real quick. But there's 5 different sets, and each one has 4 different designs in it, okay? But you can use these. So we have an edge cut already cut here. If you wanted a thicker so I'll make sure that's not sticking. Okay. So we'll cut a thicker strip here, and I'm just going to do a little bit. We don't need all that. There we go. So you want to keep one edge set, and then, okay, I guess maybe I need to do it this way so you guys can see. And are you zoomed in real good down there, Eric? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm lining this up at the edge there, and press down, and you just want to wiggle it a little bit to make sure you've got a nice clean cut. All right, and then you can cut this as long as you know, if you want to go all the way around a cake or something with this border, you can cut it that long and just work on your, the whole table and just keep going down so you don't have to piece this together, okay? So then you can just go line this up right here at the end. So I need to line up there, and then also make sure I'm straight along the border there. There we go.
Is that number 4 thickness something you would recommend, or what you personally use for your decorations?
The number 4, that is generally what I use for, gosh, most of the stuff I do. That thickness works good when we get to the tappets, okay? It's just, I like that thickness. Now I did make some plaques ahead of time too. Oops, they're starting to curl up the paper here. Flip that over. These I rolled out to a number 1, just so they were thicker. But typically when I'm doing anything with the tappets, or if I'm doing like some plunger flowers, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit, that type of stuff, I do tend to use a number 4 for the thickness on it. Okay. Trying to think what probably for everything I'm going to show you today, yes, that would be what I would use for it. If I were doing gum paste flowers, those I definitely do, I run those down as thin as I can. If I'm doing them, now with in class use, I will normally start people out at a number 4, okay, just because it's a little easier to work with, a little bit thicker like that. But sorry, I gotta grab oops, no I don't, I've got one here. Just had to grab my Ziploc to put the rest of this in. I had too much going in my cup. So just to get started out, even with gum paste flowers and stuff, I would still probably recommend go to a 4 or 5. Mine rolls down to a 7, but it's fairly thin. If you go out to 7, so you know, I do suggest to most people, and when I do a gum paste class, that's what I do, is roll it out to number 4 usually, sometimes 5, just depending on what we're working on. Okay. So I gotta take all these off the parchment. The parchment's curling up on them. Okay. So there we've got some border strips made. Just a minute, I gotta clean this off here real quick. We'll broom later. Today will be a good mop day. Okay, so next up, let's show you. I think let's start with some tappets. Then we've got some molds and different things to play with too. Okay. So, tappets. There are tons and tons of options. Okay, I just grabbed a few. I got some leaves. I got a couple different letter fonts. This one has some animals on it. I think we probably have, oh my gosh, Eric knows a little bit better than me. What about 25, 30? No, more? Oh, he's saying more. Okay. There's a lot of different sets of them. Okay. Like in the ones that we're giving away, there's emoji faces, there's numbers, there's farm animals, the rest of the leaf set, there's safari animals, nursery, so like a baby set, okay? There's all kinds of them. There's a lot of different fonts available, okay? So we're just gonna, I'm not gonna show you all of them by any means because we would be here all day, but I just want to show you how to use them. I would say these are probably one of the most, I don't think they're intimidating, but a lot of people struggle with them, I guess, I would say. Okay. And I pre-rolled out some fondant. I figured you guys did not want to sit here and watch me roll this out all day. Okay. So, what you typically want to do is cut a strip. You don't have to use a strip cutter by any means for this, okay? I'm just grabbing it literally because it's sitting right here and handy. Okay? But depending on what you're cutting, so I'm going to cut the bigger letters. So you want to make sure, whoops, and I'm sitting here telling you to do something and I didn't do it. I should have left it where it was set. Okay, so just make sure that the strip you're cutting is wide enough for your letters here. Okay? And like I said, you don't have to do this with the strip cutter. This is purely because I have it sitting here. You could absolutely just take a palette knife or something and run down through here. Here, we'll do it that way since you've already seen the strip cutter. So there. We just cut a strip of fondant. And you basically want to work crossways with these, okay? So this way you can go in, say I want the letter H, okay? So the H is up here at the top. See that right there? All right. I don't want to sit here and try and cut it like this because then I'm going to have waste. I'm going to cut some of the G and I'm sure I would cut some of the I, even if I were trying to be real careful and get just the H. All right. So we cut crossways. Then I can go in right here, get my H, and you want to press down and then just scoot it around on your table or your cutting mat, whatever you're working with. Oh, and look at already coming out of my mold. That's not going to help me show you. getting a little too dry on me already. All right, let's do another one so you can see that better, hopefully. Hopefully this one will stay in there. Okay, there, this one stayed put good for us. So, sometimes, this isn't a letter that you need it with so much, but sometimes you will need, like you can see where this little leftover is up here in the G. You might need a pin or a scribe tool. Typically, like, I'm going to show you on the other font that we have. So like the A right here out in the center, okay, or this B where you've got that center out there. You're going to want to take that and just pluck out your excess, which this got used in class and didn't get plucked out. So we've got some dried up in there, okay? I'll cut one of these real quick too, just to show you. Actually, I'll cut the A and the B so you can see. All right. So when they come out like that, you just want to go in, and this is called weeding, okay? You just want to weed out the excess that you don't need for your letter, okay? And again, this is just a scribe tool, but you can use a pin or something with that too. All right. So once you've got those cut, the reason they're called tappets, and this kind of freaks people out the first time I show them usually, you want to just bend that a little bit and tap it on the table, and your letter will come out. Okay? So we're going to tap it, and our letters come out. So there is our A and our B. All right. We have an H up there in the other font. So now, to attach these, I will be with, if I have a bigger piece, so let's see, if I were cutting out, for example, like the little bunny on here, you're going to see a purple bunny just because that's what we got. Okay, so we got the bunny there. All right, if I were going to attach a bigger piece like the bunny, yes, I would probably use my water pen. Okay, so I would just flip that over and just dab some little bits of water on there and go pick that up and then place it where I wanted that way. Okay? With letters, what I usually do instead is take some paper towel and just 1 second, let me get this wet. Okay, so I just got a damp paper towel. I also have used in the past, when I was doing cakes actively all the time, I actually had a thin piece of, so let me grab it and show you. Just some very thin foam like this, okay? I had a quarter sheet pan that I cut a piece of this to fit in. I would get this wet, not dripping, just damp, and set it down in that pan. But then just set your letters over there, okay? And the reason I do this, there's a lot less chance of distorting them, okay? If you're trying to flip them over and brush them, you're a lot more likely to end up breaking them, ripping them, whatever, okay? All you need is just a little bit of dampness on the back. So they are plenty fine now. But then you can just take your palette knife, go down, get that arranged where you want it, and then just lightly press it down in, okay? So I know this isn't going to make much sense. We're just going to do HAB on here. Okay? So again, we just used a damp paper towel, sat the letters on there for just a minute so that way we can pick them up with our palette knife and not distort them too bad. Move them over and place them where we want them. Okay? And that is utilizing your tappets. Any questions on that? Is Eric missing them, or are you guys really question-free today?
Not a whole lot.
All right, Eric's swearing he's not missing questions, so we'll keep rolling. All right. Next thing, I guess we're just going to keep using this light purple while we're rolling along here. I'll make sure I don't have any damp spots from the paper towel there. Okay, so next thing I want to show you is plunger cutters.
We got a question.
Oh, we got a question. Woohoo!
Yes.
What do we got?
Someone wants to know when you're going to write a book.
I've wrote 2 already. Thank you very much.
For all the other stuff.
I don't see that happening. All right, so plunger cutters.
Oh, someone wanted to know what brand your stencils were. Your tappets.
Tappets are all from FMM. They are the original creators of them. I do not sell the knockoffs in here. I have people will send me questions with them and I will try and help them, but typically they'll say, oh, my tappet snapped in half, which, you know, if that happens, I'm like, oh my gosh, bring it back. I'm so sorry. I've not had that happen with a tappet. But come to find out, they bought one of the China knockoffs, so I very strongly, I personally had some stuff. One of my products that I created was copied by somebody else, so I know the feelings that go into that when that happens. So I just personally, I don't promote it. I know they're out there, obviously, but we sell the FMM brand here. They are the creators of them, so I want them to get all the recognition for it. All right. So, plunger cutters. These are just a few of them. But I just want to show you, there are leaves available. The leaves have, can we zoom in way close? Okay. So, the leaves have actual veining marks in them. Okay. Some of, I don't know if I have any of them over, I don't think I do right at the moment. Here's a rose leaf, you can see too. But there's a few of the bigger daisies actually have the little vein lines out there that you can press in, okay? So these 3 would just be considered a straight plunger cutter, all right? These are considered a plunger veiner cutter, okay, because they plunge and vein. These are just cut and plunge. But super, super quick and easy. These are, I'd say these 2 right here, I used to sit and make tons of these just to have sitting in various colors. I would take a, like the little nuts and bolts cabinets that you can get at the hardware stores, okay, with the tiny little drawers in them. I would have these full of different color flowers just so, in case I got a last minute call for cake or cupcakes or something. These work awesome for that, okay? But anytime if I had fondant rolled out or gum paste and had it left over, okay? So I just cut, wiggled a little bit, and down in your flower former. Whoops. Wiggle, down in your flower former. Alright? Same thing over here. This one is just a 5-petal, just a basic. Okay? Down in your flower former. Oops. Get that straightened out in there a little bit. And flower formers, these are just made from the same material as your candy molds, but there's different sizes available. This particular one works well. I think this is the inch or inch and a quarter one, but it works great for these size, and you can just plop them in there. There's a bigger one if you don't want them to have as much of a curve when they dry. The bigger ones, it'll just tip up the edges of the petals because it's still rounded like this. Okay? But as you can see, super quick, super easy. You can make some royal icing and just go drop centers in those real quick and store them for months and months. Okay, we have some questions, it looks like.
Okay, well, you kind of just answered the first one, which was how long can you store flowers, these flowers and such.
Do I still have any sitting over there? I think I threw all mine out, but I literally used to make them. I made them all from gum paste. Okay, I don't have any sitting over there anymore. I would always make mine from gum paste rather than fondant, because the gum paste doesn't have any glycerin or anything in it to worry about them softening up and molding or anything. And honestly, I don't. When it's rolled out this thin, I don't believe you're going to have issues with molding. But I would have these. I just leave them in here until they were completely dry. I just set them there a couple days. I might go back and go, oh yeah, I got flowers to pull, and then I go take them out and put them in the storage containers. But like months. I literally would have them sitting there for months. It was just, I can't even tell you how handy it was just to grab those for a quick filler if I needed something for cakes.
And then someone was asking if hot hands ever play a factor in like doing the flowers or using certain tools or...
Hot hands do play factors. Hot hands are not always our friends. Okay? If you have super hot hands, what I recommend, grab a bag of frozen peas, frozen corn, something, have it sitting, have a couple sitting here. If you need to, just go set your hands on those for a minute, just to cool them off. Okay?
And then for if we sell products, do we have the plunger cutters on the site and flower formers?
The plunger cutters, I just found out, because I had another gal looking for them either Friday or Saturday. They're not on the website, and I am sorry, I did not realize that. I will get them as soon as I get done today. That is at the very top of my to-do list. So I will get the plunger cutters on there, because I do have a variety of them. The 5-petal ones, we have these, I think there's 3 or 4 different sizes. We sell all those individually. The daisy ones, there's a 4-pack set of them that we have. We've got the rose leaf and the ivy leaf. There's butterflies, snowflakes. So I know there's other ones out there too. I'm just not thinking of them.
Oh.
But like I said, I will get those out. They will be on today.
There's a clarification with the hot hands question. They're
Okay.
talking about the brand Hot Hands. Can you use the cutters with the product called Hot Hands?
I've never heard of the product Hot Hands, so I have no input on it. And no, I can't answer questions. Sorry.
And
I don't even know if that's a fondant, a gum paste, or if it's a glove, or I got nothing on that one.
If someone likes your chef's coat, can they purchase one for themselves?
This is a T-shirt. Sure, we can get you hooked up with our T-shirt gal. If you're wanting a T-shirt. I've never even contemplated that, but yeah, we can do T-shirts. Okay, so there's plunger cutters, and then I almost forgot these. I love these little cutters, and I'm not gonna lie, they've just never really been that popular, and I think it's because people just don't realize what you can do with them, but they're so pretty. So this is a set. This is probably from 2 or 3 sets because I had them opened up for class use. Okay, that's why they're different shades of pink here. but they come, there's 3 impressions. So these are all do an impression, and then this is your edge cutter for it, okay? So we'll do this one. So what you do is just pick out your impression that you want to do, and this is a border cutter, okay? And I need to get a straight edge here, or a little bit straighter. There we go. Okay. So I am lining this up back here at my straight edge, and I'm just going to press this in. I may have to grab a new one out. It's not quite as dry. No, that worked enough so you can see it. No, it really didn't. Just a minute. Let me grab some fresher out of the bag. I can't give you a bad impression of these because they're really awesome. Alright, so we'll move on to our darker purple here. Come on. Talk to your fondant, it helps. Alright, this has gotten a little sticky in the bag, so I'm just going to dust. This is just it's called dab-a-dust, so you can put a little dab of dusting on your table. There, so we're not sticking. Okay, and actually I'm just going to gently rub that over. I don't want to put a lot on there because it's colored, but I just want to grab any dampness. Okay, so again I'm going to cut a quick straight edge on there. So take your impression of choice and you want to press that in. Okay, lift that up, and then you can go down, just do your next batch. Okay, and I want to lift it and just make sure it's not sticking. But then you just go in with, this is your edge cutter, okay? So it just cuts the edge there, and you have to line this up.
What is your dusting of choice? Do you use cornstarch?
I normally use powdered sugar in my duster. And that's one of those things, if you line up 10 people and ask them, you'll probably get 10 different answers. So I know some people use a combination. Some people use only cornstarch. I tend to use powdered sugar in mine. A little bit of a messy thing there. Okay. There. Sorry, I got some powdered sugar on that. Now what you can do too, if you get powdered sugar on colored fondant, you can either wait until you have it attached and go back. You could take a dry pastry brush or even just a brush, one of your paint brushes or something, just something soft and floppy. You can also go in. This is just a little ball of my fondant, okay? You can go in and just kind of gently tap that on there, and that will pick up the powdered sugar also off there if you get colors on. If you do, just a FYI, if you do a cake, say I put this purple fondant on an entire cake and I had marks on it, you can just take a bigger ball of it like this and literally just go rub it on your cake, and it will clean up your powdered sugar on there, okay? And you can see where it just picked it up off the table when I just rubbed it. But if that were your cake and you just rubbed it with some more fondant like that, it's going to pull all that off, all your excess powdered sugar that you might have gotten on it. That's come in super handy at different occasions when I've done like black fondant, for example. That one is always just a nightmare trying to keep the powdered sugar off of it. And the other thing you can do also is to color your powdered sugar with a little powdered food color to get it closer to the color of your fondant. If you're doing a large, like that I have done if I were doing like a 4-tier cake or something, especially for competition cakes or something. Like I did one that I had a lot of this kind of teal royal blue color on it, and I actually colored some powdered sugar as close as I could to that to use it when I was rolling out my fondant for the cakes to cover them. That way, if I got some on my cake or on my fondant, it didn't show up anywhere near as bad as just, you know, your standard white powdered sugar would. Okay? So, there are those. Then, I just want to show you real quick how to mold in silicone molds, okay? I know some people say, well, that's pretty straightforward, but I still see people struggle with it every now and then, so we're just going to go over it real quick, all right? I typically dust the mold, tap out the excess, okay? And then you just want to take this, go around and push it in. Now if you notice, I'm kind of pushing back into the center of it from my edges, okay? Now I've got some left right here. Are we zoomed in? What's showing?
Now we are.
Okay. So where I have that edge, I'm going to slice that off. All right. I don't want to just take it out right after I slice it, okay? I'm going to show you what. Okay, so this I'll see a lot of times where people, you know, obviously there's too much there, and they'll just go do that and then pop it out, okay? You've got a little bit of deformity, and especially if you're using, this mold is fairly deep, okay, so you're not going to notice it as much. This is one of our Katie Sue molds, and they're a lot thinner to give you more realistic looking. I'm going to open this up and do one of these here in just a second too. But you want to get in the habit of coming kind of what I call cleaning up the edge of those, okay? So I'm kind of gently pushing back in towards the center of the mold, just out around the edge of them, okay? And then that'll give you a lot cleaner edge out there when you're done. So then here, we'll open this up. Okay, dusting, and then just lightly tapping out the excess in there. Okay, so we'll do this flower right here. Actually, it's kind of similar to those. Okay, and I typically just work that off with my fingers as I'm kind of working along. I just work the excess off. You can definitely take your palette knife and kind of slice it off there if you want, no problem. But again, go back and just kind of gently, I'm pushing at the edge back in towards the center just to clean my edges up, okay? But there. Zoom down in there and see that? Okay. And then where the powdered sugar from dusting the mold is on there, once these dry a little bit, just quickly take a brush and that'll brush right off there. Okay? It's nothing that's going to stick on there or anything. All right. Do we have any questions before we... Oh, I took a little more time than I planned on today. Sorry about that. Oh, you know what I didn't show you real quick?
Do you have different silicone molds on the website? For impression molds?
I have a few on there right now. I have more coming. We'll say that. I'm not sure, the whole pandemic has kind of put a wrench in a few of my plans. So, they're in the works. They'll be here shortly. I just don't know how shortly. Okay? But I believe I've got I'm pretty sure this Katie Sue ones, I think I've got like 4 or 5 Katie Sue ones on there. Maybe more. Yes, but it is, like I said, it's very limited right now what we do have. Okay? But there will be more before too long. Okay, I did want to show you just what the plunger cutters, how to use those. Okay, as opposed to, or I'm sorry, the veiner, the ones that have the veining with them. Okay, so those, you still want to press down, wiggle them a little bit, like we did, then press down to put your veining in, okay? And then I usually will wiggle again just in case when you press that, if it pushed anything out, I just want, whoops. Guess I did not have enough powdered sugar down there, sorry. Okay, we'll do that again. So, wiggle, press, wiggle, and then we'll put that on the white. It shows up on there. Now this, typically if I'm making a bunch of these, I'll show you real quick here. I will take some aluminum foil, okay, just regular old aluminum foil, and crinkling it up. And then I just kind of take my fingers on both sides of it. Can they see what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I just kind of go around. I'm making just some little waves and stuff in the foil. Okay? But this, just drop these around at different spots. And this is something else that you can make tons and tons of these up ahead of time. Super quick. Okay? But you can see just from the different, how they're laying on the foil there. This is how they're going to dry. But you've got a lot of natural shaping that way. But you saw how quick and easy I just made those for. Okay? You can whip those bad boys out in no time flat and have all kinds of them. Quick and easy. And then they're immediately available for filler. Even if you're piping buttercream flowers, for example, these are awesome to put in there. You can still mix in fondant leaves in with your buttercream flowers, okay? And they look absolutely fine.
How long are they good for?
Again, they're kind of indefinitely. I would not recommend making them airtight, okay? That is why I normally used, oh, I don't want to have you grab that thing to show them. But like I said, just one of those little tool caddies that they use them for nuts and bolts and stuff, like at Lowe's, Home Depot, over in the tool section. But it's just the cabinets with a bunch of little drawers. The dust is off of them, but air is still circulating a little bit, okay? So it works out great. And here you can see our bow loop is already setting up firm enough that we can lift that up, okay? So those don't take too long. Let's see if our flower's kind of starting to set up a little bit, okay?
Without using any Tylos, how long do you allow for your fondant to dry?
That is going to be a loaded question because of different humidity.
Like stuff that needs to stand up.
Different types of fondant. It is really going to be dependent. I normally tell people if they want something that is going to stand up and protrude from the cake, make it at least a day ahead of time. At the very least, a day ahead. If you've got the time, even better to get it out, 2-3 days ahead, just to be sure you've got time. Also, a variable is going to be how thick your fondant is. If you're making, a ball, for example, that's going to take a long, you're going to need 3, 4, 5 days, depending on the type of fondant you're using, depending how humid it is in your area, if you've got air circulation, as far as if you have a fan on it, anything like that. So I'm a big proponent, make this stuff ahead. Just make it up. If you know you've got orders, there's a lot of times I would make stuff like this. I would look 2-3 weeks ahead in my order book. If I had a free day, I would be sitting making this stuff up, like I said, for 2-3 weeks down the road. It's not going to hurt anything. Just put it in like a cake box, a pie box, something like that for storage. Like I said, you don't want it airtight because you're risking, if there's any humidity, like if I pack these up right now and they weren't completely dry, that humidity is going to ruin them and make them mold. Okay? So it's always best, store your stuff, like I said, in a cake box, in a pie box, something like that, that it's covered from the dust, but some air can still get in there and circulate. Okay? Any other questions? All right. Mr. Eric, do we have a winner today?
Oh, boy, oh, ever do we.
Woohoo! We do.
I just got to find their name. Give me a hot second. The number I had it lined up. Just give me a second.
Just a minute.
Okay,
it's Mr. E.
No, it's Crystal Austin.
Crystal Austin.
Yep.
All right. Congratulations, Crystal Austin. If you are still watching, please send me a message with your mailing address. I don't think you're local here, but if you are local, if you're out and about and you want to pick it up, you are welcome to do that as well. Or I can ship it to you. But if you can just send me your address, I will get it mailed out yet today, or we'll have it out tomorrow for you. Okay? So, if there are no other questions, that is the end of our show today. So, I will see you on Wednesday. Not really sure what we're doing. I don't know. I know one of these days I got to cover a cake with fondant for you, so that might be in the works either for Wednesday or Friday. So, I'll think about that. But either way, I will post it tomorrow, what we're doing for sure on Wednesday. And thank you so much for joining us. And I hope to see you on Wednesday. Have a great day. Bye-bye.